Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am super excited to be here today on my channel and sharing this next piece of content with you. See, this video today is much different than anything I've ever posted in my past 8 years of being on YouTube. This was actually a speech that I gave this past Saturday at WARPA, which is basically a conference where all the promoters from the tracks out here on the West Coast and kind of in the Northwest get together, dirt and asphalt. They do scheduling. They, of course, talk about what to improve on for the next upcoming season and kind of just like a get-together for everyone to be in the same room and to kind of hear from different guest speakers. So like they asked me to speak. There's also other vendors and brands in our sport that show up. You know how it is, it's difficult to make progress when everyone's kind of super spread out. So like I said, they all get together in Portland, Oregon, and I went up there and had the chance to talk about social media and dirt racing, and that's what they really wanted me to hit hard on. I had a great time. This was my first ever like public speech, I would say. Really going in depth on a topic, and man, I actually enjoyed it. It wasn't too bad. I was a little nervous, but once I got up there, everything kind of just flowed, and I really hope I have more speaking opportunities in the future in the sport because I had a great time and I would definitely entertain them. So here it is, social media and dirt racing from my perspective. I'm interested to see what you guys think. Thanks for watching.
The cool part is he's a sprint car racer. He's from the state of Oregon and does a phenomenal job. Last year he spent the year on the World of Outlaws with Bobby Allen's team. This year he's back in his own family car. His crew chief is 18 years old and is his sister. So it's a real family operation. In 2024 he raced all over the country, as I said, with his family. He's just 21 years old, and I promise you you're going to enjoy this. Please help me welcome Tanner home.
I'm a little bit of a walker and a talker, so I might be moving around a little bit here. Super great to see all you guys, seriously. Obviously, so many familiar faces here in the crowd. I know there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in this room. I know how things are in this sport from my angle, and I can only imagine yours. So there's, yeah, it's really tough, and obviously sometimes not for the most amount of return, but we're in the grind of things. So I really respect all you, and I'm super excited to talk about social media and dirt racing today. Now, before I really get into the weeds of things, what I like to talk about, and I honestly have never really went this in depth with anyone before on social media and how it connects to motorsports, I want to talk about my story. I feel like my story is very important because it kind of talks about how I gained some of my, my knowledge and how I learned about the social media world. Now, I didn't come from a racing household. I was born in Southern Oregon. Southern Oregon Speedway is my home track. Love those guys. That's home. You guys know how home is. So great, and that's where I learned to become a race car driver. That's where I fell in love with the sport. But I didn't come from a racing background. My parents were my parents, you know, didn't work on cars. They didn't go to the track. They weren't involved in dirt racing. I was a first-generation racer, and my parents were just casual NASCAR fans. So they had it on Saturdays and Sundays, and I didn't wasn't 2 weeks old at a dirt track or anything like that. So I'm very lucky that I got involved in the sport how I did. Early on, watching those NASCAR races and seeing fast cars, I, of course, was just eager to want more, you know, seeing speed, and you know how that is for a young kid. So we actually had a small go-kart, like a little two-seater, didn't have much horsepower, and that's how I, you know, got my first experience behind the wheel. And that right there is actually the first outlaw kart that I ever raced. So I started with the two-seater go-kart, and like I said, made some laps in the driveway. How I would do it is I'd actually watch the NASCAR race, and if it was a day race, I'd go outside in the day, and if it was a night race, I'd turn the lights on outside and go run a night race outside. And I always finished it off with getting out, and my parents, they were involved too. They would come out with like some water, or if I was very lucky, it was a soda, and I would pretend like I was in victory lane, right? And douse myself, and I didn't douse them, but it was just really cool, and like I said, that's just how I envision motorsports. So quickly after my dad seeing my interest in him having a family business, they were actually with a client, and they happened to have a go-kart for sale in their garage, an outlaw kart, and that's the outlaw kart sitting right there. So we ended up doing a paint scheme, the 18T was born, which is my number, and we were off and running. Now, early on, my outlaw kart years looked very normal. Like I said, raced at Southern Oregon Speedway, Roseburg Indoor, Red Bluff Outlaws, just a lot of the local outlaw kart tracks on the West Coast. But quickly, we wanted to chase competition. My parents, I would say, they're intense people, and I have that DNA in me as well. So quickly, we wanted to, after getting my first win about a year in, I was eager to want to basically win every race, just like any other young kid. So ran outlaw carts early on in my life, but where things really changed for me, I started in 2008, 2009. I'd fast forward about about six, 7 years into 2016. And as I look across this room, I know that probably many of you have a day in your life, or probably many. For me, being a little younger, I only have a couple, but a day where your life changed. And you look back and you said, that was the day that my life changed forever. Well, for me, that day was September 6th, 2016. That was the day that I posted my first video on the platform of YouTube. How many of you know what YouTube is? Raise your hand. Okay, I figured that's how that was probably gonna go. Well, see, in 2016, I don't know if that many hands would have went up. YouTube was a growing platform. It was popular, but now today, it's unbelievable. It's owned by Google. Man, the amount of videos and hours of content creation that are being posted every hour, if I gave you those stats, it's truly remarkable. But that's where I uploaded my first video to YouTube. And let me talk you how this went. So about August of that year, I had a buddy, and he and I really just enjoyed watching people on the platform. Like I said, we're 13 years old, go to school, watch YouTube, raced a little bit, all that. And he created a channel, I created a channel, and I decided to just name my name, Tanner Holmes. And I didn't really know what I was gonna post. I wasn't sure, but I quickly just came to the realization that maybe I should just post about what I do, which was racing outlaw carts. I wanted to become a sprint car driver. I was working that direction. I knew that was hopefully gonna be in my future. And so we were actually going to this race called the Kyle Larson Outlaw Kart Showcase. It's at the Cycleland Speedway in Chico, California. And I ended up making a video called We Made It. And basically it was just us driving from home to the track, and then I made another video about the races that weekend. This video is still on YouTube. I don't recommend you go and watch it, but it is up there, and it's not deleted or nothing. So you can check it out. And after that, I continued to create videos. But here's what is remarkable about this, and it's that word up there. On September 6, 2016, I created the greatest tool for my entire life, my business, my race team. The greatest tool. I had no idea. That wasn't drawn up in that moment. That wasn't like, man, today things are gonna be big from here on out. But I made that video. I literally did it on like a little iPad. I edited the video on the iPad. I uploaded it 30 minutes later, and I posted it on YouTube, and I just looked up how to do that on the internet and rolled with it from there. But pretty crazy. So that's where my start in the social media world began. And like I said, throughout the rest of 2016, I posted maybe 10 or 15 more videos. And then 2017 is actually where things ramped up for me, as I decided I was gonna post 2 videos a week, no matter what. No matter if I was racing or not. Like I said, that led to all sorts of content, which again, I don't recommend going and watching. Maybe stick to some of the recent videos, but 13-year-old Tanner just out there trying to do what I could to grow my audience and use the tool that I created. Oh wait, well actually we're getting ahead of ourselves here. To kind of continue through my story, that tool was able to then follow my journey in the sport. So like I said, 2017, 2018, 2019, what that tool saw, me get my first ride with Factory QRC, a big outlaw kart team, and working with a former NASCAR crew chief named Jimmy Elledge. It captured every race of that, this opportunity out of nowhere. Captured me getting into limited sprint cars and racing at a lot of the tracks that I see here, racing all across the Northwest. And those are some of my most popular videos to this day. And then getting into 360s, getting into 410s, racing with Donnie Schatz, Brad Sweet, David Gravel. And then even continuing my story into unexpected things like he mentioned Bobby Allen, rolling up to my pit area in Knoxville, Iowa, saying, hey man, we race in like 3 days and we need a driver. So are you in or are you out? And I was in. So, following my road to being on the World of Outlaw Tour for 25 races and, getting an experience of a lifetime. I'm telling you, if any of you guys could spend 3 or 4 months with Bobby Allen, you learn a lot. So it was pretty cool. And now into this current year, 2024, over 1,500 videos posted, learning and videoing and editing and teaching myself. And having an incredible fan base. I'm very lucky, and I say this all super humbly. I'm very lucky the people that I have behind me, but also been able to run my race team, virtually myself as well, with over 6 figures in sponsorship. A merchandise company that we sell merchandise, and that pays for our tires, our methanol. My Carly, she gets cut a check every single week, for all of her hard work, which she absolutely deserves it. And really being able to build something that we can now try to compete at a high level with some of the top sprint car teams in the world. And it's very hard. It's a grind. And even where we're at now, there's so much more room for us to grow. But like I said, we're in the grind of it just like you guys are with your dirt track. Now, that's a little bit on my story. That's where we're at the current year, and we have some great things coming in 2025 that we're already working on. And as I look at many of you, and I know, like I said, the grind that you are in with your dirt track, and there's so much going on. But if you leave here today, maybe you disagree with anything I say, or you're not sure, you're like, I don't know if that guy knows completely what he's talking about. There's one word that you have to remember. It's how important it is to post. That word right there, in my personal opinion, can change your entire business, your dirt track. And honestly, I think that what I'm about to say goes even for other businesses like we have here, or even your personal businesses, outside the sport. It's really so important. Now, here's what I mean when I say post. This is what I mean to say. Put out as much content as humanly possible to the best of your company's abilities. It's absolutely huge. It's like I can stand up here all day and I can tell you how important this word is, because this word right here changed my entire life. Okay, so I got another question here. How many of you guys have phones? I got mine in my pocket. How many of you have a smartphone? Okay, that's kind of how I thought that was going to go too. Right now, I am speaking and we are in reality. I see you, you see me, but there's another world that all of you I know live in too, but so many, especially the younger generation, spend so much time in. That new world is social media, and it's our phones, right? I mean, heck, when could we ever, one phone call away, one text message, an email, we can get to anyone. I mean, people are Snapchatting each other and sending videos, and the list goes on of this new world that we live in. And it's so important with that new world that we capture everyone spending that time in that world. Now, I know too, especially sometimes like the older generation doesn't love that, and I hate to tell you, but no matter how you feel about social media, even myself, I don't love it in some ways. I spend 24/7 doing this, and it's still always not my favorite thing. I know there's negatives to it as well, but I'm telling you, if you don't put your time on this new world, you're going to get left behind. It's unbelievable. Here's a better way I can put it. Social media and our smartphones are the world's great equalizer right now. See, 20 years ago, I was only born 21 years ago, but I know just from talking around and information, a lot of you were sitting in front of your TVs, and one of the main ways that you're being advertised to was, in between your favorite shows, the games on Saturdays and Sundays, right? And that commercial or whatever came across your screen is what brought you in, right? And back then, even on a local level, you're spending thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. Maybe if you're trying to reach more people, you're spending hundreds of thousands. And if you're at the top, you think of the Super Bowl, even today, but back then, you're spending millions upon millions of dollars. Well, usually at our level, right, in dirt racing, or you can't afford that, or most businesses just can't, right? They have to spend their resources in other ways. Well, nowadays, social media has equaled the playing field. Our smartphones have made it to where for free, you can have just as much outreach. You can make your account today, which I know a lot of you have accounts, but I'm talking even on a deeper level, but let's say you don't even have a social media account for your business, for your track. You can, make an account today, and you can get 1 million views on your first post. It's unbelievable. When has there ever been a time when you could do that? So why would you not go all in on social media and building your brand, getting creative, spending that time on that content? Like I said, there's a lot of areas in a business to be successful, but I'm telling you, this one is so, so big. Another thing I like to mention when I'm talking about this is it's also helpful across the board. See, this is a unique situation where all of you guys are competitors in ways, but you're also each other's biggest teammates. And we need each and every one of you to be successful in our sport. We don't just need one dirt track, we need many. Especially in the Northwest, we already don't really have as many as other areas. So it's important, it's a way for us to work together, and using social media to build what you have only helps the next guy and helps yourself. Okay, so let's go here to the next one. This is a good question. I know what you're looking at me right now, and now we're gonna really get even farther into it. How? It's a good question, it really is. Tanner, I don't know what to post. I don't know what to share. What do are you sure that this is really that important? How do I do it? Those are all good questions, and here's what I have to tell you. I was asking the same thing on September 5th, 2016 before I made that first video. I really didn't know. I wasn't sure. I was going through all these ideas, all these scenarios, but I just ran with it, and then also I let it form itself and kind of find what my template was. Now here's a good way to look at the situation, because I have a lot of young kids that come up and I actually give them a short spiel of what I'm talking to you about today. And they say, Tanner, I want to do what you do. I want to share for my sponsors. I want to post content, but I don't know what. So here's the best way I can put it. I love this analogy so much. When you're creating content on social media, when you're posting to get your name out there for tracks, every post is like an at-bat. You step up to the batter's box. I don't care if you're right-handed or left-handed, and you take a swing. You got a 90-mile-an-hour fastball coming in. Sometimes you strike out, it happens. Sometimes you hit a ground ball, you don't even get to first base. But sometimes you step up to the plate, man, and you hit that thing and it's a grand slam. It's unbelievable. And that's what social media basically is. You have unlimited at-bats every single day to get your name out there, to get in front of new fans, to create unique content. And this is the generation, especially these young kids coming up, this is what we're growing up in. Like I said, this is the new world. So if you're not living in the new world, if you like how it was 10 years ago, that's okay. Like I said, you can do that. But I'm telling you, you have to evolve. And right now the world is changing, and this is changing faster than ever before. And so like I said, if you're not on the train that's moving, you're gonna be left behind. Now, another thing I should say, and I meant to say this a little bit earlier, when I talk about kind of this and what I'm really getting into next, this is the long game. This is part of the long game of building the brand of your track. You can start doing this in the next year and you will see, I guarantee you'll see some results, but I'm talking the next 5 years. If you're gonna be in this the next 10 years, 15, this is a must. I'm 8 years into my journey, and honestly, I feel like now the last year or two, I've really felt like I'm in my stride. Like I'm making progress, I'm getting moving. I feel confident in what I'm doing. Young 13-year-old Tanner, he had no idea what he was doing, but he was figuring it out. And he was just, and like I said, nowadays more than ever, outside of our category of motorsports, businesses are doing this and they are going for it, and it's changing the game for them. So like I said, I think that's in dirt racing where we could really see some progress. Okay, so we're gonna get into next, 2 big E's when you're creating content. They're educational content and entertainment. Those are really the 2 pieces of content across the board that people create. And the 2 big E's are important. Like I said, a lot of people, and believe it or not, in dirt racing especially, I've learned, honestly, something I missed when I was younger is how many people just want to be educated. They want to know more. They don't live in this circle that we are all in. You guys, there's so many things we could talk about that we're just in this business, whether you're a driver, crew member, owner, we know, but these fans, they don't get that inside look. They do not understand. And then there's also the entertainment, right? You guys are totally in the entertainment business, so I don't need to get too far into that. But I got some good examples that I think can kind of show you just some ideas that even from your perspective you could do and run with, but even more than that. So here's a post that I made. This was actually just a few months ago. It's something I've been doing a lot more on my social media pages, but I've been trying to make more educational content because I learned, and I've had more people ever come up to me lately, how many people just don't understand. This post is just about what the term slick means on a dirt track. Every night in our pit, Carly, I, my dad, we're all talking about how much grip does the racetrack have? How, is it getting slick? Where's the cushion? How's it moving up? All sorts of stuff. So there's all these terms even that we use. Well, so lately I've just been going through like different questions that fans come up and ask me. I write them down, I make an answer, and I just post them on my thing for everyone to see. Because I'm starting to realize that people just don't have that inside look that we have. So this post, for example, it did over 1,700 likes, 250 people shared it, had comments like you couldn't believe, and over 400,000 people saw it on my Facebook page. It's pretty good for, like I said, just 5 minutes of writing a post down and throwing it up. But an idea like this, for example, is just something, what are things about your dirt track that people would ask you all the time? Or I know there's people that show up to your guys' tracks that don't even, they're so new, they don't know what side 1 and 2 and what sides 3 and 4. It happens, trust me. So there's a lot of opportunity just to educate people and using your social media for that because it makes them feel close to you and attached and more into the product. Here's another example of just something educational that we did, which is more from the driver's side, but I think there's things on that you can take from it. How to start a 410 sprint car. I always joke that people call what we drive, they're push and flips, so they just see them get pushed off and they eventually flip over. But there's more to it than that, right, in the process. So, when you're starting a 410 sprint car, a regular fan doesn't know that you got to put the car in gear, and the process is a little different for everyone, but you put the car in gear. Sprint cars don't shift, right? We got direct drive. We're in neutral or we're in gear, and turn the fuel on as you're getting pushed. And before you turn or before you hit the mag switch, you got to make sure you have oil pressure. If I cut out every video how much my dad yells at me after racing a sprint car for 8 years that I have to have enough oil pressure before I hit the switch, you would be amazed. But anyway, just how important it is. So then, that gives power to the system. Your tires turn over in the process, and you fire right off. So we made this video on YouTube. It did almost 60,000 views, which on YouTube is gold. YouTube, I'm going to get more into that platform specifically, but did well. And on Facebook, it did almost 400,000. And something that we do with our content as well is we reuse it from time to time. So the first time we posted it, got 400,000 views. We posted it again a year later, and it got another 400,000. So anyway, it gets out to new eyeballs, and that's something to consider in your social media journey, that you can reuse content. It's beneficial still. Now to get into entertainment, you're going to really get me going here. This is my favorite. So this is a clip right here of my younger sister, Carly. She was just doing her job. We were actually at Douglas County Dirt Track for their race at the end of May, and we were in between hot laps and qualifying. And in the 360s, we're always trying to use more used tires. You don't need the freshest rubber. So in the process, we had one of our older tires. We were just trying to freshen up that rubber. Carly was grinding the tire, and in the middle of the night, obviously once I'm in race car driver mode, I'm limited. I'm obviously not doing much for my social media, just some of our little video stuff in between, and I always have some help. So my girlfriend, she actually took this clip of Carly. It was a 6-second clip of her grinding this right rear tire. And our joke, as we go back through and evaluate how things are doing, was this was 13 seconds of work. 6 seconds to film it, 6 seconds to post it, and 1 second to just literally write this caption. We just typed it out. It's just something in the middle of the night to make people feel like they're at the track. I don't know if you see that number, but it's 17 million views. Let that sink in for a second. 17 million views. If I told you what a brand would pay me, if I told them I could get them 17 million views, the check's pretty big. And what I mean by that, to advertise a product and whatnot, like numbers like that they're hard to achieve, but the possibility is so there, especially in the dirt racing world, because we have such an impressive product. Our product's unbelievable. It's unmatched, honestly, compared to most other things that we're up against. It's just about getting the content out there for people to see and to know what's even actually going on. So like I said, that's something that's very simple. That was just one of those videos that went viral on Facebook. The comments were crazy. People were arguing about if Carly was grinding the tire or cleaning the tire. It got to such a, with 17 million people, it got to the level that was all non-dirt racing people. So it reached a lot of new eyes. But like I said, I can explain all day, but at the end of it, 17 million views. Stuff like that is very achievable in this room with what you guys have. It's just about, taking those at-bats seriously. And here's just another idea. Like I said, some of the content we post, this is a full-length video. This takes much more time, but just trying to throw out different examples of content. This would be a full-length video of us when we were racing with Shark Racing, 20 minutes long, a couple hours of editing, and it's a full-on walkthrough of our night and what it's like with the World of Outlaw team. This was actually one of our best nights. We ran third on the podium, which is one of the coolest nights of my racing career. But like I said, just different examples, which is what I want to get into really next, is as I look here, and I know it's easy to feel overwhelmed probably with a presentation like this because social media is such a big thing. There's a lot to it. I'm not telling you that you have to go start making YouTube videos. I'm not telling you that you have to start posting on Facebook. What I'm telling you is tap into your own creativity in your company with your staff, with your employees. And I think as a collective, you know, there's just so much possibility. Now, if you can start, if there is a way to start making even some short YouTube videos, I think there's a lot of benefit there. Maybe it's having a podcast, maybe your track, and you all sit around at the end and you're transparent, you talk about the night, you have some drivers on, you showcase the show. Podcasts are huge. Maybe that's the type of content you need to make. Like I said, short form is big. You know, maybe some of you in here are good writers. I'm not good at writing. I can't write, I can't read very well. God just didn't give me that talent. But I do think there's a way for writing to be big, you know, in 2025 as we go into. There just might be a different way you have to publish it. There might be, you know, some way to use the platforms. Like I said, that's not as much my specialty, but I want to hit on that that's very possible. Now, also worth mentioning, maybe voiceover content. If you go on TikTok or some of these other short form platforms, voiceover content is getting hundreds of millions of views. It's just people taking footage and then voicing it over. Or, you know, maybe, like I said, maybe you have one of your employees voice it over. Like, I'm just trying to give you some ideas because it's so important that you build your brand and you keep expanding and showcasing your show. And more than ever, if you think you're doing enough, you need to do more. I talked about the at-bat thing. Personally, myself, as I look at Tanner Holmes Racing and what we need to do, and it's harder this time of year, right? There's less racing, but in the thick of the season, we should be taking 20 plus at-bats a day, you know, especially at these big races, Knoxville, Eldora, like, you know, races that I'm attending, but your biggest shows, when there's people watching, maximize, you know, post that content, get that out there. I can't explain how important it is for your business. This changed my life and gave me so much opportunity. And I know in the long game for your racetrack, it can do the same thing. And again, if you're feeling overwhelmed, I'm going to give you your starting point. I'm going to tell you what you need to do. If you're like, man, this feels like a lot. I just, you know, I already have so much going on just trying to get my track running every week. That's okay. I respect that. It's hard. This is a hard game. But start with reels. Start with short form. It's the easiest content to make quickly, to post to your track, you know, or post to your platforms. You can post it across multiple platforms, Instagram, Facebook. Like I said, there's so many kids on TikTok right now. It's unbelievable. Like I said, your first post can do 10 million views, and it's happening for brands across all categories. But post short form content, post reels, because like I said, the virality factor's there. You can blow up. And I don't know if it necessarily like builds as much community, but it's getting in front of the eyeballs and you can go from there. But more than anything, I'm just encouraging you to start. And I'm saying that there's so much room to just find what your own template is. Or, you know, you could see someone else's template that maybe they make videos about fishing or something, right? And you're like, I really like how they do that. Let's just plug in dirt racing. Or someone that, you know, makes videos about cooking and then, you know, plug in dirt racing. There's all sorts of templates out there. Or you can look at my template and you could plug all your stuff in too. That's just part of the game that we are in. It's so key. But more than anything, like I said, it's key to be in front of this new world. That is big. I want to point out some examples, though, of just some tracks. I did a lot of homework, and I won't lie, I struggled a little bit to find some tracks that I looked at, and I was like, man, I feel like they're doing a really, really phenomenal job. There's tracks that are doing good, and they're you know, or they keep moving on. A couple, of course, the big names, and I'm careful to say these in the sense of, because I know that these are established racetracks that have so much going for them, and I don't think it's necessarily fair to compare them directly to you guys in the room, but there is a reason why they are the top places and they do so well. Knoxville and Eldora are the two. Knoxville has a great social media, man. They post all the time. They're putting out a big variety of content. I think Eldora was the best that I found, honestly, especially when you talk in reels category. Just watch some of their reels. I think in 2023, they posted about 30 or so. They tripled that number in 2024, and they don't even race on a weekly basis. You know, they only have big events. So when they have their big events, they're getting those posts out. And a lot of their content involves the drivers. You know, Rico Abreu's in their reels, Bobby Pierce, the trophy girls. It's showcasing the show. It's showing the atmosphere, the fun, what your dirt track's all about. It's getting people, you know, basically you watch that and you go, man, it really sucks that I'm not there. You know, that's really cool. Eldora, Knoxville, it's amazing. But your guys' tracks have that same opportunity. So I really encourage you, you know, to study what other tracks are doing. Now, I wanted to find one that was more on a local level, and I just got very lucky to speak with the marketing lady at Fremont Speedway out in Ohio. I've actually raced there. Beautiful racetrack, kind of old fairgrounds vibe, pretty unique. But But so in 2023, in those years before that, they never really focused on their social media, and she talked about that. But then they asked her in 2024 to hit it harder. And in 2024, since March 4th, they did 4 million impressions on their Facebook page alone. So what that means is their content was seen 4 million times. It's pretty good. I mean, imagine if you could be in front of 4 million eyeballs. Like I said, that's impressive. Where the year before, they only had 500,000. So by plus 3.5 million by just posting more reels, posting more posts. That was just on Facebook. And she directly talked about how it helped with fan hype more than anything, keeping them involved, keeping them engaged in the middle of the week. But also, it allowed more sponsorships into their business. Sponsorships are big, obviously. We need those sponsor dollars, which then created a domino effect. With more sponsorships, they could do bigger races this year, which then also increased their attendance again. You know, like I said, it just all adds together. You have 4 or 5 piles, I would say, you're looking in front of you, and you build one up, and they just keep growing. They just keep growing. And so honestly, and I don't even have it in my notes, but realistically, the sponsorship dollars that from social media and growing your brand, you can pour back into your business, and even possibly monetization from the content you make, you can pour back into your business, or at least make it worthwhile. There's opportunity there as well. So like I said, talked about those, the domino effect, and actually before we get into these final tips, here's the real reason I'm here today. And honestly, when I was asked to do this, I was excited. I wanted to talk about it. But more than anything, when I was going through and writing all this, why am I specifically here today talking to you? Well, I think the Northwest has potential to be one of the greatest areas in the West Coast for dirt racing, for motorsports. There's a lot of opportunity. We have I-5, man. You drive right up I-5. You can go track to track to track. There's a lot of great people that work in this industry in this area that are passionate about it, that want more. They want to grow. And as I say that, like I said, I did my homework and I looked across, and you know, there's people that are making content like myself, like I said, from a driver's perspective, and there's some series that are doing quite well, you know, Outlaws and High Limit, another good examples of just how they run their social media. They're some of the best, but I'm not even talking about series. I'm just talking purely tracks across the board. I haven't found a track, and I spent some serious time doing this, and I talked about Knoxville and Eldora. They do great. They're phenomenal. But I haven't found a track that sets the benchmark for how it needs to be done. So what I'm telling you is the opportunity is wide open. For all you Northwest tracks, I'm telling you the opportunity is wide open to be all in on social media, changing the game for your dirt track and what is possible. Well, so you're asking, well, Tanner, all these places did really well. What's the difference, the benchmark? You know, and like I said, there's tracks all in between, all in between. I've seen some places haven't posted in years. You know, some are, you know, like I said, they're posting, but their content's just kind of, you know, it's informative, whatever. But I'm talking actually building a brand, engaging fans, bringing them in. There's no track that has sent that benchmark. Now, here's why, like I said, I was so inclined to be here, because I know that you guys have that opportunity, and here's how. Because you have the opportunity as grassroots racing to bring in your fans, bring in your communities, make them feel close to you, make them feel attached. And I think through your content, some of that is just being transparent, being honest. You know, we all want to show the good, right? Sometimes maybe showing the bad helps too. Trust me, I don't like in my videos, but I do it because I've never not really posted a race night. There's some nights that I start 20th and I finish 18th. Like, man, I'm like, oh, that really sucked. That was not a very good night, right? And you know, there will always be that one fan that goes through the results and says, well, Tanner, the guy that started 18th finished 3rd. You should have been able to do that. And I go, I know. So there's always that opportunity. But and you'll realize that as you spend more time on social media, you're going to find those people that live in those comments. But that's okay. You just gotta run past that. But where I was going with that is, like I said, sometimes I think showing that transparency and, you know, showing your struggles as a dirt track, showing your successes. Man, tonight was such a big win. We had 1,000, or, you know, you don't have to maybe throw out numbers, but, you know, talk about your big events, how much of a success that was. And I think, like I said, through a video, through your podcast, through your something, that makes people feel close to you. They feel like they're along for that journey. Like I said, me starting out and getting into limiteds, you know, people followed that. And then, like I said, 6 years later, they saw me got a ride on the World of Outlaw Tour. And there was people that were there all the way in between. And so when I talk about the long run and for your guys' own individual journey in this new world, I'm telling you there's a lot of possibility in bringing people in and to feel close to that. And I think that's possible all throughout your business, like I said, with different employees as characters. And you know, showing their strengths, showing their weaknesses. I don't know how that all looks. Like I said, I do this all from the driver's angle and in our race team, but I don't feel like it's that much different because I have different people that are involved with me, and I think the same can go for you guys in creating your own template and how you want to do it. So my final tips and just some things that I really want to share with you is I think this is an all hands on deck thing. I'm talking to tracks today, but like I said, I think the same thing goes for businesses. And the same thing, if there was 100 drivers in this room, I would be telling them the same thing for the sport. You have to involve everyone. This, you know, you guys are just a part of the equation. But I think going into 2025, if you really say, you know what, we're going to do more than ever this year. We're going to take so many at-bats. We're going to be posting on our face. You know, we're going to have people and some infrastructure to where we can make lots of content. We can involve the drivers. We can show our personality as a track, whatever that, you know, looks like for you. I would be upfront with the drivers. First drivers meeting of the year, I would be telling them, hey, here's what we're trying to do. We want to try to get more sponsorship dollars into this deal. We want to have, you know, bigger races. We want to show you guys. We want to get you guys opportunities. You know, maybe if you want to go farther. You know, but we want to be that stepping stone as a racetrack or whatever that looks like. And so I would tell them that and ask them for their help. Like I said, for drivers, you know, at minimum, if it's just, you know, being a part of some of the content or, you know, if we walk around, just be, you know, be inclined to wanting to help. But, you know, share the posts. Ask your drivers to share the posts. Tell their friends. Do all that. Like I said, I would just be upfront with them right away on your mission because they're a big, big part of it. And I think the fans is a little bit of a different approach. I think for fans, what's huge is obviously if you can create an environment at your track where people feel excited and want to share their experience, that's where you really hit on the money, right? Is, you know, creating an environment where they're happy, they're there with their parents, they have that connection, or their kids are running around, or it's bike night and they got to take something home, or it's mud in their beer, like all that stuff, right? And if you can make fans feel that excitement, they're going to do the free marketing for you as well. They're going to post that. They're going to share that. It's going to go everywhere. I'm telling you, people want to share. We live in in a day and age where people go and do things to share their experience. They don't even always do it for themselves. They climb to the top of that mountain to take the picture, to post it, and then they go, well, I did all that so I could post on Instagram today, you know, and they walk back down the mountain. So I'm telling you, people do what they do, like I said, to share it with others. And so I think this is an all hands on deck thing. So yeah, work together, building your community. I think this involves many. Study what others are doing. Like I kind of said that earlier. I know you guys are always studying off each other, but don't be afraid to build off of what, you know, one another is doing. And like I said, always, and especially if you can live in that new world and study what's going on, even if it's outside of motorsports. Like I said, watch what big brands are doing. Watch what influencers are posting. All that stuff directly correlates into what you guys are doing. I feel like our category is just a little bit behind, and that's why, like I said, I feel it's so big that there's some open room at the top to be that benchmark. And I tell you, if you end up being up there towards the top, the opportunity and what could happen for your business it's huge. It's huge. I could stand here all day and tell you. But yeah, so just in conclusion, I want you guys to go for it. I really do. I believe that the Northwest has the potential. I know you guys can do it. I know a lot of you in here are very capable. You're creative. You know, you are. And whether it's not maybe you yourself, like I said, if it's someone else in your business, bringing that right person in, hiring a young kid, you know, giving a young kid an opportunity. Like I said, they're the ones that are living in this world. I've lived in this, basically, you know, social media has been around since I started creating YouTube videos, but even before that. So the young kids are the ones that really know how to do it. So maybe it's bringing someone like that in that could change your business and include you all. But yeah, like I said, I just appreciate you guys having me here today. It was awesome. I love talking about social media. I am open for questions before, or if you'd like to wait till after for some Q&A. But yeah, like I said, social media is big. There's so much opportunity. You just kind of got to go out there and build your own template, see what happens, and more than anything, just start posting. If you post, you know, if we go back, you just got to post, and I'm telling you, everything will flow after that. So thanks, guys.